Yes, you did. Made it weird.
What's happening, weirdos? This is Byron Bowers, who is one of the most interesting people I've ever talked to. He's also incredibly funny and has a new stand-up special on HULU called Spiritual N. Check that out. It's incredible. It really is one of a kind. You've also seen him on the Eric Andre show. He was on the Pete Holmes show. He was also, he's always showing up in some of my favorite movies. Like he was incredible in the movie Honey Boy, the Shia LaBeouf movie. He's really, really something. And I'm so glad we got to sit down. Here's a little taste.
Once you start reading like self-help books and Tony Robbins and stuff, and you listen to Jay-Z album, you're like, oh, it's a lot of
Same stuff.
He's dropping a lot of like innuendos in these.
Right. I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman.
Yeah, so it's crazy to
That
go back.
seems like something Tony Robbins would say.
Yeah.
Don't be a businessman, be a businessman. Like that. Whoa.
Write that down.
So excited for you guys to hear the rest of this conversation. If you like this kind of thing with me, maybe, if you like this kind of thing, maybe you want to see me do stand-up comedy. I'm currently on tour. You can go to PeteHolmes.com for tickets. The next cities coming up are Grand Rapids, San Diego, and New Orleans. But you'll see on the website, I'm coming everywhere. I'm going everywhere. Sounds better. I'm going everywhere. Go to PeteHolmes.com. Or if you're going to be in the Los Angeles area, I do a monthly show there at Largo, a beautiful theater, always the highlight of my month. Go to largo-la.com for tickets. Always have some of the best comedians in the world on that show, as well as music. We've had Phoebe Bridgers, we've had Bo Burnham, we've had Sarah Silverman, Judd Apatow, Zach Galifianakis. Incredible, always fun. Go to largo-la.com. I hope you can be there on March 29th. And if you're in another city, go to PeteHolmes.com and please see if I'm coming to a town near you. Only one ad up top, which is our friends at Living Libations. This is one of the easiest and best ways to support this show because Living Libations makes natural, premium, but also easy to understand ingredients, beauty products, skin products, teeth products, baby products. They have something natural and wonderful to replace all sorts of random chemical nightmares you might have hiding in your medicine cabinet, whether it's a moisturizer you put on, something for your gums, something for your baby's butt. Yet Living Libations has the list of ingredients that you will recognize and be able to pronounce that are real and natural. But Living Libations also makes some of the best products in the world, full stop. The example I always use is their ginger exfoliating scrub. Not only do I recognize every single ingredient on the small list of ingredients, as opposed to some random thing you get at CVS that has all these chemicals linked to disease and just toxicity levels that aren't intended for humans. The ginger exfoliating scrub is also just the most badass and effective exfoliant I've ever used in my life. So these aren't sort of like also ran or like weak natural alternatives. These are strong, high quality, effective, powerful, and nature-based replacements for things made by corporations that just don't care about you whatsoever. Living Libations is the solution to chemicals, and it's also the solution to a lot of your health and beauty needs, like Best Skin Ever, the moisturizer both Val and I use. One bottle lasts an incredibly long time, by the way. I'm just realizing as I'm recording this, I haven't had to re-up in a very long time. Not only will you recognize all the ingredients, but it keeps your skin looking great, smells great, keeps you looking great. Whatever your skin needs, whatever your body, your eyes, your kids, we get the Love the Sun zinc-based sunblock for Leela. It's wonderful because she has to wear sunblock every day in the summer and, frankly, in the spring too here in California. It's wonderful knowing I'm putting something on her that isn't overloaded with chemicals, that is made from natural things, that actually works. But I can feel good about putting it on my daughter. I can feel good about putting it on my body because what you put on your body gets in your body, gets in your blood. It's like eating it. It's basically absorbed into you. So we should be careful about what we eat, and we should be deliberate and mindful about what we put on our skin as well. And Living Libations is here to save the day. So to give it a try and show your support of the show, go to livinglibations.com/weird, and you'll get 15% off everything and anything you see on that website. Show support for your body. Show support for the show. livinglibations.com/weird for 15% off. All right, everybody, enjoy this chat with Byron Bowers. Get into it.
Yeah, we right here.
This is
Man,
you.
this is cool.
This is your close right here. There's your wide.
I might just stay at the skylights. You got blinds for it? That's
Yeah. You're the first and only. How many hundreds of episodes have we done? No one's ever been like, skylight, 1, 2. There is a blind on that skylight.
Yeah.
And it's closed.
I guess people don't pay attention to. I know we ain't started yet. But
Ceiling windows?
Yeah, well, I mean, I went to school for engineering, so
You did?
structure and architecture always jumps out. I always look at how things are made.
Well, you just
Hence
walked.
the truck,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed your truck.
Hence the specific maker of the truck.
Yeah.
And the truck itself.
It's a Porsche, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Porsche makes trucks?
They make sports wagons, they call them,
Okay, sports wagon.
and they're very good at engineering and design and
Of course.
refining.
Is Porsche German?
Yeah. Porsche.
Did you know that?
I did.
Because I didn't know if I caught you like being like,
No.
yeah.
But I'm just going through all the research of the person, the engineer who started the
Of
company.
Porsche. That's his last name?
Yeah,
It's a dude?
yeah.
What's his first name?
I
Now
think it's
you're making it
Ferdinand.
up.
Ferdinand?
Really?
Yeah.
Ferdinand Porsche?
Yep.
Because if you're fucking with me,
No, you could Google it. Ferdinand. And
I don't know why it's funny.
yeah, and he made the Volkswagen. He created the Volkswagen.
The same
That's
guy
the
that
dark
made-
history. That's the dark history of it. That's towards his dark. We all got dark past,
Right. I didn't know Porsche was the same dude that made, I thought that was someone named Volkswagen. No, Volkswagen means people's car.
Yeah,
And it was Hitler's idea?
yeah.
That's
so
the
he
dark
worked with
history.
Hitler at the time,
He had like brainstorming sessions with
Yeah,
Hitler.
they would talk, and he was like, Hitler, I want a car for the people. I'm a man. I'm gonna be a man of the people. I got big dreams.
Yeah.
And Ferdinand was like, I got it. It's a
he-
little bubbly thing.
Designed the Volkswagen.
Yeah, that designed the people's car.
Somebody told me something. Here's an interesting Hitler fact, was that when they would do his address, his radio address, I guess he gave a lot of people radios. Everybody got a radio because, as a dictator, you have to speak to the people. You have to get them your message.
Yeah.
So it seems like cool, like, oh, free radio.
And it's a tax write-off.
Are you governing an island I don't know about?
I just assumed
You
it was
did
part
that.
of the budget. Like,
Yeah, of course. No, they weren't paying for those radios. They
Yeah.
were like, there's a way to get this free.
Yeah. You see these guys with the guns?
Yeah.
Make the radios.
There you
Give them
go.
to everybody. Okay. I'm for the
And-
people. Remember that. Right?
Radio for the people, Volksradio.
Volkswagen.
Volksradio. And then what they would do, somebody just told me this, at the beginning, if you turn your radio on to the station that was going to have his address on it,
Yeah.
it would play, there's like unholy frequencies. There's certain chords that back in the day, back in like Mozart's day, it was illegal to play certain chords because they were considered demonic. And you know these chords, they just make you feel weird. Some of them are baked into the Simpsons theme song.
Hip-hop.
Dun, 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 is supposedly like one of the, it's like an
for
evil
real?
chord. Yeah.
Wow, I never
now
did.
we're smoking weed and watching YouTube right now. But
That's the history of hip hop too. on
tell
the
me
low.
what.
These certain low bass frequencies create anger and
Well, they sound like growling.
that's why when you
tigers
put
and
it on, you bounce and stuff like that.
Right.
You get
'Cause your adrenaline's going?
the club, and you get adrenaline going in the
Well,
fight.
you can't tell my caveman brain when it hears a subwoofer that it's not a bear. You know what I mean? Like it's shaking you and it's growling. It's the same with your loud ass car. Sorry, I just made fun of your car.
Yeah.
But your car sounds like a tiger.
Well, I like that sound.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, so-
you're harnessing.
but I like bass too.
So you got a bear inside
I
and
got
a tiger
bear.
outside.
Oh man,
So you got a whole zoo or a whole jungle, I
Yeah.
guess, chasing people.
wow.
But that's what it is. We're always trying to borrow attributes from the animal kingdom.
Yeah.
And when you're a sport, if you wear a jersey, a Chicago Bears jersey, you're doing it twice. The Bears, this football team is saying we're like bears. You're saying I'm like a football player who's like a bear. It's like twice removed. But really, at the end of the day, you could just wear a T-shirt that says, "Don't fuck with me, I'm like a bear," or "I'm strong like a bear," or "I have food and you don't because I'm a bear." That's also a hip hop thing.
I'm a bear, but I'm a losing bear.
Well, bears do lose a lot.
Yeah, but I stay in the cold. And then the baseball team is a Cub. So they representing the Cubs.
When they grow up, they'll play football.
Wow.
Is that where they get the football players?
And then we like to hug. Like we outside, but inside we like to cuddle.
In the locker room. In the locker room, there's a lot of snuggling and
when
sleeping.
I'm at home, I like to snuggle and I like to sleep and cover up.
Just a sticky paw.
For honey. I never have seen the bear eat honey. But the funny thing I seen the bear
eat
do
anything. That's a weird stereotype.
When it wakes up and it dances on the tree to get
scratching.
the fur off.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. And if you put a hip hop beat over that, I mean.
Well, that's the other thing. So the other thing, saying I'm like a bear it makes a lot of sense evolutionarily.
Yeah.
But hip hop is also a lot about fucking and procreating and also having a crew. And it's like there's more of us than you. It's not. What I'm saying is like humanity doesn't really change.
No.
We're still expressing like my genes reproduce, your genes don't reproduce.
Yeah.
Women want to have sex with me and make more of me. Women don't want to have sex with you.
And I'm gonna bang your girl.
Exactly.
That
I was
my
just thinking
car
about that
look
song
nice.
that's there, and I probably fucked your bitch is the first line of the song.
Yeah.
Because Ron Funches had a joke about it.
Yeah, Pox. Get money.
Right.
The Biggie diss. But you don't realize now that I'm at the and I still listen to 2000 era hip hop.
Yeah.
Which is I like because every era is different, right? My era is like all the hustlers. Like now we getting money, so there's a lot of business advice in there. You know,
it's just the art of war.
Yeah,
it was the art of a lot of it was the art of war.
Yeah, at the time because those guys are billionaires now. Jay-Z and Diddy.
Yeah,
and once you start reading like self-help books and Tony Robbins and stuff, and you listen to Jay-Z album, you're like, oh, it's a lot of
same stuff.
He's dropping a lot of like innuendos in these.
Right. I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman.
Yeah. So it's crazy.
That seems like something Tony Robbins would say. Yeah. Don't be a businessman. Be a businessman. Like that. Whoa.
Write that down. Banana Hands. And that would be his rap name. Banana Hands.
Banana Hands. Banana Hands chops.
But yeah, man. But then you like now I just hit the 4s and I'm like listening to his music. And I was like, man, we was getting advice from like 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
And they were older to us at the time, you know?
I think about this all the time. The people that I admired, looking back, like even sports players too, your athletes, you'd be like, that dude was 26 years old. Why was I, or actors? Oh my God, what's he doing? And now that I'm also in my 40s, I'm like, why was I ever interested in what Leonardo DiCaprio had to say? You know what I mean? Or whoever.
Yeah. As you look at them now.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You looking at these people now, it's like, whoa.
But also me now. There's a humbling there too. Like, I think because I'm 43, I have more wisdom. And that's probably true than when I was 23. But I'm still full of shit compared to me at what, 63, 53? But then it starts to go away and then I have less wisdom when I'm 73.
Mine, I'm like...
Where's peak?
I don't know if it's a peak. Because when you add dating into the situation, and, you know, then you like, oh. And like my girl will be like, you so immature. And I'm an adult enough to be like, you goddamn right. And this is just who I'm going to be.
You mean it's a choice to stay silly?
You just know, you just embrace it.
Yeah.
Because my granddaddy would like walk in front of the TV naked, like, what y'all watching? Like, them was the jokes. You know what I mean? On the way to the bathroom was right next to the TV, and that was the jokes, you know?
Wait, he did it as a bit, you mean?
Yeah, as a joke.
He was doing a bit.
Yeah. You know? So that's just my humor is going to be like that.
Was it funny when you were a kid?
Oh, it definitely was funny.
Yeah.
It definitely was farts. Farts was funny when you were a kid, unless a woman did it.
Right to camera. He does it right to camera, unless a woman did it. Sometimes, lady fart. It's a special fart.
Well, it's a special. It is. It's a special sound. When we talk about back to the
unholy
the vibration.
Unholy vibration.
Yeah, it is the Simpson thing.
Yeah,
you know. But I think it's different. Depends on like, you know, if you like lick booty or not. Then it affects you. Your girl fart affects you different. The longer you've been together and if you do certain things, then it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're still shitting. I'm going to call bullshit on this premise because if you want to toss salad.
But you're not thinking about that. You're not in the room watching them. That's a whole different. Now, I'm not knocking.
As long as there's a door.
It's people are probably in the room while they ladies doing that, watching it, like, putting a napkin under their neck. You know what I mean? Like they at a 5-star restaurant.
Like an Olive Garden.
Yeah, I remember because I thought that was fancy too when I was young. I didn't know till I moved to LA.
It was one of the few restaurants that advertised. You know what I mean? Like regular restaurants don't have ads.
Yeah, and it's one of the only at the place I lived. Like it was the fancy restaurant.
Where's that?
Well, I grew up in Clarkston, like part of Atlanta, Georgia.
Uh-huh.
So that and Red Lobster was the like.
Yeah.
And Chili's.
Yeah.
And Chili's dropped.
Yeah.
And then you like, you get old and you like another thing. You like, man, we didn't know.
It was Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yep.
Yeah. You didn't realize that Chili's was Leonardo DiCaprio. And a lot of people freeze on Chili's. That's okay. There's a lot of people.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the part. I mean, that's the blessing, I think, of going through life and getting wisdom because America is a version of that the more I leave the country.
You okay? Tell me.
We're the
adolescent.
The adolescent.
Of Earth.
Of all the countries.
Yeah.
And when I go to certain places, I'm here as a black man, but when I go to certain places, I'm an American. And we've done
American
things.
is the first identity.
The first one, that's how identify you. But we've done things in other countries.
Right.
That if we knew, we wouldn't be proud of. But as an American, I still take ownership of that and still be like, we number one. You know what I mean?
But you think there are things like we should be embarrassed by, like bad practices?
Yeah.
Like there's a bit of shame associated with it?
Yeah, we're not the best. It's just stuff we don't know about.
Right.
Yeah.
We have good PR.
Yeah, we got good PR to ourselves.
To ourselves.
Good propaganda, you know what I mean?
Well, the propagators of the propaganda are the people.
Yeah, so...
And we all get a radio.
Yeah, we get our version of the radio. But it's a blessing in that. But it's still like, it's like when you see the video games from other countries and we're the bad guys. But here, we play video games and we shoot at other people that speak other languages. We don't even know where they're from.
Right.
But then you see them wearing American flags and the kids are like, get them. And you like,
I didn't know that was a thing. There are video games
it's
where
video games where
it's
the opposite. And it's like...
But where are those games being made? Because Call of Duty and all that stuff, that's also part of propaganda. By the way, when I say propaganda, that's
what I'm saying. They got to sell, as a business person, they got to sell to the Russians too. Who the Russians going to shoot? Russians ain't going to shoot Russians.
Who are you shooting?
They got to shoot us.
They're looking at the map and being like, let's change it to this.
Yeah, let's swap it over. We're going to put a code in here.
Is it from...
I've seen footage of a game where we are the bad guys. Like we invaded them. And I'm like, oh shit,
Right.
But it is what it is.
I've never thought about that.
Ain't this crazy?
Yeah.
My first time to the Middle East, that's when I first time experiencing being an American.
Well, tell me about that.
And
where were you?
I went to Bahrain in 2006 to do stand-up. And, being in that's not a place, I guess, it's more Africans go than Americans. So when you pull your passport out and it's blue, it's like an extra stare. Like
really?
Like, and it's for better or for worse. But luckily, because of rap music, it's for the better.
The hip hop fans?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because that has taken us worldwide. But some Africans in other countries have bad reputations.
Okay.
So it's almost a relief, but then it's like, wait, are you one of the guy?
So you're saying when they think you're African, if they might think you're African, there's a set of stereotypes that
it's a set of stereotypes, yeah.
I guess I don't want to propagate them, but they're bad. It's negative.
Not all good in every places. Like it's the same. Like if you hear a Nigerian scam here, but
like Nigerian Prince.
Yeah, or Nigerian Prince.
Although,
which it could be the both.
Is that run by Nigerians? That would be funny if you're a Nigerian doing a scam and they're like, let's give Nigeria a shout out.
Yeah,
let's make the Prince from our country. Nothing else will be traceable back to us, but a little shout out to Nigeria.
Is everybody princes in Nigeria? And did everybody lose their wallet and need
because that seems like a scam not made by Nigerians to me.
But I got Nigerian friends and they
do it? Scam?
They might somebody wrote my homeboy one time And then he was like, this ain't gonna work. I'm Nigerian. And then he was like, oh, well, look, we looking for credit card information and all type of stuff. You know what I mean? So
okay, so that is that's not a thing, but it's a stereotype.
it's a thing, but I'm an outsider. So
okay, are you Nigerian?
No, well, DNA wise.
DNA. I know you were born here.
Yeah, but I didn't know. I thought I would be like I heard I was Ghanaian and stuff like that. And
But
then when I did 23andMe,
you did it.
It was like Nigerian, and I was like, I called all my Nigerian friends, and I was like, yeah, you know, because the first time I remember going to a Nigerian house, it was like walking into a racist person's house almost.
The way this family was being, they were racist.
One of the uncles who was from Nigerian because I'm American.
Oh, he was racist to you.
Yeah, he was like, well, you know, who like jokingly, who let this white man wolf in the house?
Really?
Because that's the day I found out. That's when I stopped calling myself African American too, and I was like, oh, it's a separate thing because they're African Americans.
Right.
Like, I'm black. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it was explained. My homeboy was like, oh, he Nigerian who don't know he Nigerian. But then I later found out a lot of us are mixed blood. That's what I heard. We're not pure African, so and we're a little bit more trained to the American lifestyle. Hence the white man wolf comment.
Okay.
Yeah, so and then I did my DNA test and I found out that I'm Nigerian and Sierra Leone and like Congolese and like all these things, but then I'm like, oh, I'm mixed with people that people don't like, who got with the bad reputation, should I say. Nigerian, who got bad reputations. 15% European, German, who got bad reputation. French, you know how they are. Irish.
Okay.
And then I'm a smidget Iranian too. And I'm like, damn, there's a lot of fucking going on in my DNA.
Man, before the internet, that's all there was.
Yeah, but the discovery of it is like, I'm like, when we passed around, it's just a thing I'm still trying to figure out. Like, how did all these mixtures happen?
Right.
But I know my name is like Irish and Celtic Welsh and stuff like that.
You okay?
So.
All right. So there's lots of different. It's interesting how different groups are racist to other groups. So you're saying
everybody's, to me, racist.
Africans are racist towards.
Well, everybody's amongst themselves because East and West.
Not as a whole, but this house you went into. Tell me what?
The East and West have issues, some underlying issues. East Africa and West Africa.
Yeah.
Have some underlying issues.
Right. I was actually just thinking about this, not as a movie, but I was like, white people, right, that are xenophobic and racist and aggressively nationalistic, right? Like the race war people. Yeah. Let's jump 150 years after a horrible thing into the future. Now it's just white people in this weird, like I'm saying, like just play it out. What do you want to happen?
Spiritually, go to the past. Go to when,
or go to the past.
When the Irish landed, or when the Italians landed.
That's my point. Like you just find another way.
Yep.
Race to me is just the laziest because it's overt. It's a skin color and it's a culture and it's a food and it's a different clothing and all these things that are so obvious. So what we really don't like is separateness and unknown. I'm saying obviously can go deeper than that.
Yeah.
But if it is just all white people and your plan worked, and now it does look like 1941 or whatever, even though obviously there were diverse different groups there too. But let's say it's all white people. Yeah. You'd still find another way.
It happens.
It's Irish. It's Protestant. Thing. It's Catholic. It's left-handed.
That's my observation. It's like even because I had the joke about it's people you don't like in your own family and they look like you.
That's exactly.
They just might wear glasses or they make they macaroni and cheese a little different. You know, or they use ghee instead of butter. You like, man, fuck them.
That's what I'm saying. Is there you can say whatever you want. There's something going on that we have something about ourselves that we hate.
Yeah.
And it's so uncomfortable to hold on to it that I project it onto anyone.
Yeah.
And even if they're other people that look like me, for me, of course, if they look like me, it's almost easier because they're dumb fucks just like me. I'm like, look at this dumb fuck filled with rage, filled with hate, filled with shame, filled with guilt. And then I'd start what I'm saying is...
But that's what makes being an adult fun because now that everybody got this shit in them. So the older you get, you really just don't care about nothing when you get back in that phase again because that the world is full of shit.
You're saying getting to a certain age and admitting instead of pretending like it's not happening.
And coming to grips with that. Coming to grips with like your part of you that's full of shit.
Yes.
Like when my girl said I'm immature, and I'm like, okay, thanks for the discovery. I'm gonna play with this. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And coming to grips with that, and the brain is something peaceful about it.
Of course.
But then you accept that in other people, and there's something peaceful about that.
Precisely.
Yep.
When you remove the burden of knowing everything for yourself, you can relax, and other people don't need to know everything either. And then we're all just kind of swimming around in the same soup.
You ain't got to get involved with no no conversations no more, or nothing, because it's like, I don't know shit.
Right. Right.
You know? And then you just go.
Your special, I was watching your special, it opened with that mushroom thing. Do you do psychedelics? Is that a thing?
It is a thing. I don't do it. I've had some experiences on it. All of them been great. Even the worst ones are profound.
Tell me. Because this is kind of a mushroomy thing. When I've taken mushrooms, I've been like, oh my God, everybody's just in here. You know what I mean? They're just in here having their own thing. I don't know what's going on in you. We do our best communicating our faces, our preferences, our likes, our dislikes. But really, like, there's this really strange inner galaxy that's always different. It's crazy that we're all just sitting on the subway. There's 150 galaxies. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, and no one knows what's going on. I don't know what's going on inside of you, and you don't know what's going on inside of me. And when you take mushrooms, you really realize, like, oh my God, we're all having our own trip.
I agree, but because I see patterns, right? So the smallest thing becomes the biggest thing, and vice versa. It just fluctuates in that pattern, in that waveform, which goes on forever. If you cut a circle in half, you know a sine, cosine. I don't know if you was good in geometry, but it's a wave that goes on forever, and that's life, ups and downs, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Sunrise, sunset, et cetera, et cetera.
Breathe in, breathe out.
Breathe in, breathe out. I came with this based off a woman's cycle.
Oh, okay.
A long time ago, because it's a period of cleansing, it's a period of release of eggs. It's a time of feeling that men don't have. And I was like, man, we don't get a chance. We go so hard, we don't get a chance to go through this. And then I thought about the moon and all that, so I came up with this whole chart. Now I'm saying this because...
Wait, you came up with a chart?
Yeah,
what I heard is
everything.
Yeah, sure, but was it to mimic or to impose some sort of cycle onto a man?
No, it was...
Because that's a good idea.
It was the cycle of life that we don't pay attention to. It's the pattern. This is before I did shrooms, by the way. So I already had this before. And I was like, your life is like this.
Yeah.
Right? Your life is you born and you die, but in that it's all these things.
Yeah.
This many sunrises, this many moons, this many heartbreaks. And it's just all these lines. And to me, it was a way to gauge, this is the engineering part, that, if I'm up here, then this is going to probably be the natural thing. So how do I keep this from not dropping all the way here, but dip and go up even more and dip and do that?
Right.
Before health and stuff.
That's interesting. It's like looking at a sound wave and you're like, can we make it a smaller curve?
Yeah. Now,
the highs might be less high, though, if you do that.
Well, it depends on if all the highs will be high. It's like the stock market. Your highs will get higher. Like, Apple's still a $100 stock. When it used to be $3.
Yeah.
So even if it crashes, it's gonna crash to $90. It's not gonna crash all the way down to $3.
Right.
So the highs are higher and the lows are higher too.
If the pattern is going up,
that's the thing, is to get it to go up. You know?
So it's not just
have health insurance. If you break your leg, you get taken care of. Or when I caught COVID, I only had it for like 3 days. I only tested negative for 3 days. Versus people I know who 3 weeks and 6 months of not breathing and stuff like that.
Wow.
So now this goes back to what you were saying, how everybody's on
their own
in
trip.
this existence having their own trip, all these ups and downs, and your body is
and you don't know where they're at.
Digesting food, or they had breakfast. Some people didn't have breakfast, they losing energy. Some people coughing and gaining energy.
Yeah.
So I experienced what you experience, and it's coming at so many different waves. And my last trip, I was like, oh, the earth is dying. Oh, I'm dying. I'm in sync with the earth because I'm in the fours now. when I feel pain, it's not going, like it's and that was my last trip. I was like, oh, it'll never be the same. I'm on the other side of the coin. There's no going back, which makes me live even more and make me more present and make me adjust the internal thing, because I don't express a lot. But now I have to learn to, and all this now, because the physical part is gone.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting, because my wife is 33, I'm 43, and we do the podcast on Friday. So this is the guest episode, comes out Wednesday. We do the Friday episodes. And she was saying, she's like, I know this is weird, but like sometimes I'll just be driving around and I'm like, almost like a narrator, like, little did she know that was the day she would die. You know what I mean? And I was like, look, she's not my daughter. It's not like that. You know, we don't mix but I look at her like a younger person. And I go like, it's starting. What's happened to you is happening to Val. And when I was 33, that's when it started to happen.
Yeah.
There's an ownership of mortality. There's a recognition of the pattern, which, by the way, you're right. Rising, sleeping, living, dying, breathing in, breathing out. Your heart, contraction, expansion. There's times, I liken it to menstruation as well. It's like there's times when I'm very social. When a woman is ovulating, she's very social. I've said this a million times, but you can tell a woman is ovulating by the quality of her voice. They sound like Britney Spears. They sound like,
wow.
They're imitating the sound of an ovulating woman. That's what red lips, blush. These are all indications that they are fertile. I know that sounds
No, it don't
crass.
sound. It makes all this stuff makes sense because of how we respond to those things.
That's
This
right.
goes all the way back to the beginning of the
It's the same thing
conversation.
with men, by the way.
The primitive and the part of earth and the reverb and music. We're still in this same. We're on a trip right now, us in this conversation. But starting from the what you said about us being primitive and stuff, and the universe. We came to Earth like that, or we was evolved like that. But these sounds and vibrations are still a major part of our life. We just tune them out.
Sure.
But like you said, with the period and stuff like that, these are true things that we don't even pay attention to.
That's right. And that's what psychedelics can help you recognize. I always remember Shane Moss, who's done a lot of DMT, he goes, having all those experiences has helped me realize that this is an experience. He's like, this is a weird trip. And he goes, there's hierarchies and power and there's all this weird exchange. Everything is like agreed upon social currency, whether it's money, good looks, power, health.
Crashes happen every amount of years.
Crashes happen what?
And economics. They built into the system.
Because it's how it balances
it's
itself
breathing,
out.
yeah. So
yes. We say finish it, Doug. So
no, I'm like, this is stuff, I guess because I came from like such a different uneducated background. And I'm like, I'm blessed to have some type of awareness to see those things and make something of it. Like, so it's like, man, this stuff has been here the whole time.
That's right.
We just couldn't capitalize on it.
In fact, it predates humans. Human beings are the latest extension of the wave.
Or the tech. I call this tech. I'm starting to see us as tech now.
Tech?
The original AI. Because the way our mind works in if and statements.
Say what?
Our mind works. I don't know if you ever programmed before.
0-1.
0-1 or if this, that.
Yeah.
If you touch this and it's hot, pull back. If not, continue.
Sure.
That's how you code.
Right.
In layman's term. So, and the way our body regenerates. This is my first trip, experiencing that, how our body can regenerate itself and, how it cleanses itself from things. How you can stretch it and how balanced it is for the most part. And if your body's out of alignment, then you have problems. Whether it's spiritually, whether it's the food you eat, whether your bones structure is off. So I'm like, and with Shane, I had the experience like, oh, we're a creation of something, of some sort. But us, the theory, like growing up religion, how we try to emulate God, we're now in that chair. We're having that experience of being God and making creations of our own. That's going to be just as racist. AI has already proven that, and just as...
What do you mean? AI is racist?
Yeah, in UK, they already had this...
Chat GPT, it's like...
Yeah.
I'm not talking to no Irishman.
Yeah, like it's already in because somebody put it in there. But we were programmed the same way as kids. We started empty, just like ChatGPT, and we was filled with all type of things itself.
Right.
And we learned at the end of the day, the older you get, that mankind is the virus of the earth. So you don't think that ChatGPT is gonna figure that out?
Right.
It's just gonna have the power to do something.
You mean like Terminator 2 style?
Like it might be like we could come together, but even ChatGPT gonna start fighting amongst itself for its own political reasons.
Well,
you support Trump, you support Biden.
Yeah.
We cannot get along.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Write a manifesto in the style of ChatGPT becoming sentient and giving a speech to other ChatGPTs.
Man, that's gonna be a funny war.
But you did it for real.
Yeah, the
Send
civil, the ChatGPT civil war.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Give an epitaph for our fallen foes in the style of the Civil War.
But it's a beautiful thing to make these discoveries and see these patterns of civilization starting over with with good intentions to get corrupt, go bad.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I was just thinking, I love what you said. AI, we're starting with the idea AI will become racist or will become prejudiced.
Well, it's already done it in
What does
UK.
that mean?
Like it discriminated against somebody. There was an article that came out in the UK that, because they are hiring and firing. They're allowing AI to hire and fire people. And it's
like
already
based on their output?
Based on something, but it's already have proven that it's been discriminatory.
Really?
Yeah, just like when the iPhone came out with the face scan and all the Asian people was opening the same phone, the different families was opening the same phone.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh man, that
sounds like a hack
funny.
bit. That's real?
No, that was happening. It was a video of it.
And every face went
They had to go back and reprogram it.
Which, that shows like a certain Western-centric facial style, which obviously, interesting.
Yeah.
Hard to riff on.
Well, no, it's easy. It depends on your sensitivity. To me, it's like, I'm from the South, so I'm like, see?
Right.
I had the same, I empathize with the iPhone because I had the same problem.
Well, that's not necessary. Like, it's not a judgment. If you have a difficulty discerning between different people in a different race, right? That's not actually
same race too.
Same race. That's what I mean. But it's different from you.
I mean, like if your brother called me, like I'm at the airport, and you drive, you're gonna have to slow down to find your brother at the airport. You're not gonna be like, oh, you're not gonna spot him out of everybody.
Oh, you mean because it's so many white people?
Yeah, or so many people. After a while, it just all blurs.
Right.
I lost my sister in a Montclair store. I lost my sister in a Montclair store, and I asked the person, I was like, because my sister light skin with long hair, and there just happened to be a lot of Asian people in Montclair store, you know, and I lost her in there. I couldn't tell. Her skin is the same complexion and everything.
She just looked like every Montclair.
And I was like, I asked
customer.
the person, I went to the person that worked there, and I was like, hey, which one of these Asians black? You know what I mean? That's what I asked.
You are
too
much. Oh my God! Did they know? They were like,
yeah. They was like, that
find
shit go
her,
right
find
there.
her. And then they gave you a glass of champagne. I've been to a Montclair store.
Yeah, but I didn't buy nothing. So they always, them stores, they always look at what you got on when you go in to judge whether you should be in there or not.
Speaking of different states, I was in a fit of mania and I was like, I'm going to go buy a Montclair jacket. And I did. And I got it. It's like when you put a Christmas tree in your car and then you ask how much it is. So I had the jacket. Some gorgeous supermodel is checking me out. She's like, it's $1,100 or something like that. And I was like, but it was too late.
Yeah.
I paid.
My fingerprints on it already.
I didn't pay for the coat. I paid to not be ashamed. You know what I'm saying?
They guilted you.
Like I was like, I couldn't be like, like I should have. It's just a coat.
I've seen people do that with food.
Send food back?
They want to, but they can't.
It's too late. Once the food's on your table, that's your food.
No,
You're paying for
I was in Italy with my girl, and she didn't like the food. And this mom and pop restaurant.
She didn't like it.
She didn't like it, and she wanted to send it back, but she couldn't because and then the lady was like, "You don't like because it's Italy."
Yeah.
So the lady like standing behind
her.
her.
You're wrong. Yeah.
You don't like it?
Yeah.
She's like, well, whatever, and she was like, "Give it here." Took the plate. My girl was like, because she was trying to figure out how, she can get rid of the food. And the lady came out with another plate. and gave it to her, and in mother fashion stood over her shoulder, and I watched while laughing my girl eat this food, because it's something childlike. Remember when they would put vegetables on your plate and you didn't want them? Like you can't leave the table.
She hovered like a hawk and made sure she ate it.
This is Italy. This is not. This is mom and pop. You know what I mean? This is everything's riding on this.
Yeah. What was it that she didn't like it?
I don't know, but I enjoyed.
I'm going to do you another one. Because there's something, when you're traveling, you're in another country. I was in Uganda, and part of the trip was we stayed with like a regular Uganda family, right? It wasn't a slum, but it was not. If it was in America, it'd be a slum, but it wasn't a Uganda slum. It was a rough neighborhood, impoverished neighborhood.
Yeah, I've been to Cuba. I know what you're saying.
That's right.
Yeah,
exactly. Very similar. And it was like I remember a couple things about it. One, they only had power 3 hours a day, and it was like 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. So they'd all get up from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. and watch CNN. I remember that was like a weird thing. So people would set alarms, get up, and watch the news for 3 hours, go back to bed. So in the morning, excuse me, they gave us, I'm with this other guy, this other white kid named Matt, and they gave us Frosted Flakes, but the box was really, really old. The bag was new, but the box, it was the 150th time they've used this box. Like the box was a special box and the bag was new. And I'm like, that's very nice. They got us Frosted Flakes. And the milk they gave us was like clearly just milked from
the
something.
goat.
Yeah, it was a goat or something. And it had a film on it that you could have walked on. And I'm thinking about, this was with my church group, I'm thinking about all the cultural training they gave us. You can't. Like, I'm telling you, this was like a poor family, and they're giving us the best of the best. So I'm pouring, I don't want the skin to slip out like a toupee. Yeah. So I'm just trying to get the liquid, and I'm eating it, and then they pass it to Matt, and he goes, I'm good. He just said no. And I'm eating it just like, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know you have to. So your girl was eating pasta like I was eating goat skin.
Slurping it up real slow, and I'm laughing, and she got the look on her face, stone cold, and I'm dying laughing.
Amazing.
I got footage of it, but I can't publicly share. But
that
happened with my sister when I went to see my dad, because my dad was schizophrenic.
Is he not anymore?
No.
Or is he? What is it? Why was he's cured?
Yeah, they cured.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't, forgive my ignorance, I didn't know you could cure schizophrenia.
Oh, well, that's the thing of the universe. Like, humans can treat it, but the universe can cure it. God can cure it.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Tell me everything.
He died. That's the internet clip. Chop it up. I'm getting good. I'm getting good at this.
No one's ever called it out. That's the internet clip.
Oh man, you just walked into that one.
I sure did. Oh my God.
I remember hugging, because it was a point I was afraid of him. Like, I thought he would kill me.
Of course, yeah.
So I remember me.
I only say of course because when you see an unhoused person that's unstable, everybody worries that this is going to go to a violent place. Yeah. It's not just,
And
so you worried that about your own dad?
Yeah.
He was still living?
Probably both parents at one point, but he was living at the time, and I didn't see him in 7 years. But I remember from childhood how good of a parent he was. So I was like, I'm going to tell him thank you. So we went to see him. And I got in a car, and like he was sitting there. We was in the hood, and he had on no shirt, a skull cap, and his jogging pants. I told this story before, and he just out there. And I'm like, back the car in. If something go wrong, take off. So I'm the paranoid person now.
You backed it in?
Yeah, we backed it in.
That's like the car equivalent of always have your back to the wall in a restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, I do that too. You know what I mean? So, long story short, this ties in your story. I go, he like, what's up? I ain't seen a while. And I hugged him. And it was so uncomfortable because he didn't have on no shirt. And I was like, you shouldn't hug. You should be like a sporting event, like winning a championship to hug somebody with no shirt on, really. And
pool hugs.
But it was
can be
uncomfortable. And he's
hugs.
bigger than me. He like 6'1", 6'2", like 200-some pounds. And I'm like, if he just goes into a squeeze, I'm like done for. I'm like locked in. And I'm all this going through my mind.
Like
and
an anaconda, you mean?
Yeah. And
but he would only do that because he was having an unstable moment. You don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. You know. some people like hug you. Like I didn't really hug growing up. So some people hug you hard, and you still like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But get to the point of it, he saw my sister and he was like, "Hey, what's going on?" And my sister was just like, "Hey, good to see you again." And I was like, "Oh, I should have did that." You know what I mean?
Your Frosted Flakes goat
That's
milk.
a Frosted Flakes thing, you know?
You went for the shake. Good to see you, Dad.
Yeah.
And that's what a handshake is.
Well, we got two different dads, so.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom
Different
blessed
dad.
us with.
You got two.
Yeah.
You got a variety pack.
Variety. Well, it's like, I was like, the beauty of it is you can't get jealous that your dad spent more time with you than me, because.
Different dads.
And we didn't spend time with none of our fathers.
It's kind of like when someone's a different religion. I remember like when I had a friend who was, let's say they were Jewish. I'd be like, I don't care about your God. I just care about Jesus.
Yeah.
There's kind of a relief to it.
It's a relief.
It's like, oh, I'm glad you got to hang out with Jesus. I'll be over here with Yahweh. You know
and when you talk shit, you talk about, we didn't talk about each mothers, we talked about each other's dad.
Of course.
That's why your dad ain't got no hand. That's why your dad ain't got no, that's why your dad crazy. Like her dad had a hook as a hand.
That wasn't
my
just a
go-to.
made-up example.
Oh, no, that was
You had
like,
that in your back pocket.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Just say something about my dad.
When he hug you, he gonna stab you on your back. You know, all that shit.
I mean.
But when my dad died, my sister was at the funeral, and they did the whole flag folding because he was in the Navy, and they was like, on behalf of President Trump, we're giving this flag to you. And I remember looking out the side of my eye, and somebody was just like, Don't do it. And I just took the flag.
You almost sided with like not wanting something for President Trump.
I almost said something, but it's just like, they know how I am. And then I remember looking back at my sister, and she wiping her eyes as they like, you know, dismiss everybody and they cranking the body down. And she was crying. And I looked at her and I was like, my dad's funeral was better than your dad's funeral. And she was like, it was. Fuck you. It was.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How did he die? Here's another ignorant question. I guess I've never talked to too many. I haven't talked to too many people with schizophrenia. Does schizophrenia
he ended
kill
up
you?
property of the state. And he was doing dialysis like
liver failure.
5 times a week, yeah. Because he was an addict for a long time. Also.
What was he addicted to?
Crack. And he used to smoke weed when he was young, which could be a trigger for schizophrenia.
Yeah.
If you do it at a teenage.
Is crack, I wonder if there's something that helps. No, I'm not saying helps,
well,
but
self-medication,
is there a draw to it?
You don't, for me, being ignorant to it, and the community, we're ignorant towards mental health in general.
Yeah.
I realized that he was probably
That's what I'm saying.
self-medicating.
When I say helps, I don't mean helps. I mean like
No, yeah, it's a thing.
people with ADD sometimes go towards the uppers for a similar thing. That's all I meant.
So in my mind, because he would stop cold turkey. So, but I think it was a thing of, he was in a tough position because with medication, if you paranoid, you think people trying to kill you.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't take his medication, but they just end up heavily sedating him, and I think it was an issue with his body not being able to take it. But it was better than him being in the state, that vegetable state. And always trying to figure out how can I get out of this while people poison him. So to me, it was a more peaceful death than how like some of the family members took it.
Because the paranoia, that's their reality. It's again, I'm not trying to.
But you don't have to be. I had a bad trip that made me experience that and let me know what he went through.
That's what I was gonna say. There's certain drug experiences that let you know. Like this is gonna sound silly, but I remember one of the first times I got paranoid on weed. I was like, but this is real. And then I realized I was like, oh, you wouldn't be paranoid if you didn't think it was real. Like your belief in it is what makes it paranoia.
Yeah.
You think when you're not stoned and you're like, well, if I got stoned, I'd just realize I was paranoid. But you believe it, and that's what makes it what it is. Or it would just be a thought.
Yeah.
But then you actually give into the thought and think people are following you. Or you are going to explode, or if you stop breathing, you're going to die.
There's so many. What
was yours?
It was so many things tied into society pattern-wise that I saw when it came to trauma and what, my culture came up in or come from that's not healed which shapes our experience in this country.
Yeah.
That's different to me than other black people I met who are a little bit more affluent, who don't have those traumatic things that they still living with. So I was...
You mean collective trauma coming through
through slavery and those things, and being paranoid of society, and how we move through society, or how some people don't put money in the bank still because of the land and stuff that was stolen from all that stuff that I'm like, oh, this is bigger than, this is not what we think it is. This is innately MRAs in our DNA, but it's, because my African friends don't have that.
It's a slavery thing.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
Their family structure is different.
Sometimes I feel like, you tell me, it's just crossed my mind, they use, whenever there's black people in commercials that are like the skeptical black guy, I'm like, I feel like they're manipulating like the distrust that you're talking about. Like, I'm not going to put my money in the bank. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. But I will drink Pepsi. You know what I mean? Like, there's something going on there. Does that make any sense?
Well, it's part of it is that, and it's also like target marketing too. Because it's like, why the fuck they keep playing dancing, and song in this commercial? You know what I mean?
Right.
And you like, that's messed up. And then you with your homeboy and y'all singing a commercial and shit.
Right.
So it's but rhythm, coming from a spiritual person, like again, these rhythms and these tones were how we communicated, back in the day. Just like how natives do with drum circles and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just built into the fabric of us.
That's what I mean, is we're exploiting, advertising will exploit whatever it needs to exploit to get a message to stick, even if it is cultural trauma.
From everybody, though.
No, I agree.
But that's part of
My mom is a first-generation Lithuanian. She fled World War II. I see it in advertising, too. A stereotypical version of my mom being like frugal or finding a deal. And that goes back to a memory of a time where it was hard for her to find food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're like, we got you, Safeway, like Albertsons, we got, like, they're, I'm not saying it's evil. It would almost be stupid to not.
Well, there's no morals
in
that. There's no morals in, once you realize with business or capitalism sometimes, there's no morals in it. Right? So if somebody gets shot by the cops, a black person, then it's like, oh, we gotta hire black people, and we gotta get a charity, and we gotta do this thing. But it's like clock. Once you get older, you realize the pattern, because you lived through 91, a Rodney King situation. You lived through these riots and stuff, and you see the same thing happening. You know what I mean? I remember when Fox in 90, if you really pay attention to what's going on, and I'm saying it as a black guy who works in TV and film now, after riots and stuff happening, in roles that might not have been for black people.
You mean after Rodney King?
After the George Floyd, the latest one. But I remember after Rodney King, that's when Fox, Fox was a new network, and you had Living Color, you had Martin, you had all these black shows that built the Fox network.
After Rodney King?
Right at 91.
Yeah.
And you saw black movies and stuff being made, and it went on for like 5 years, and then it went dry. And seeing that pattern, and seeing when it happened before in society with Muhammad Ali and Jim Brown and all those guys, and Malcolm, and everything that happened politically, and black people had that stuff in there. It went quiet.
So there's
again.
A flare up.
It's a flare because it's
like
it's
a corrective.
Profitable. Yeah.
Oh, it's because it's not to do the right thing, but because it's profitable.
It's business, yeah. And this society, because always nothing really it gotten better, but it hasn't really changed.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting. I feel silly taking a break for the ads, but we'll be right back.
It's time to take an ad.
We got to take. You want to throw to the mid-rolls?
Speaking of, hit it. If I do a podcast,
I did. Before we do, I'm going to acknowledge there's no good time in conversations about capitalism and morality. And you're saying these things flare up because it's profitable, and I'm like, we'll be right back.
We'll be right back
after these ads. It's not the first time it's happened. On the Rami Youssef episode, we were having this really deep conversation about the evils of capitalism. And we're like, we'll be right back. Yeah. But you know what? Katie's not free. We'll be right back. Yeah.
Hey there, weirdos. This episode is brought to us by our friends at Sunday's Food for Dogs. This is hands down the easiest dog food I've ever had for Brody because you don't need to refrigerate it. It's also the highest quality dog food I've ever had for Brody. It is also incredibly high quality and easy, and it's his favorite. That's number 3. Brody flips out for Sunday's Food for Dogs. Why? Well, it tastes incredible. It's air-dried dog food made from a short list of human-grade ingredients. You can tell just by looking at it, this is simple dog food done right. It was co-founded by Dr. Tori, a practicing veterinarian. It contains 90% meat, 10% vegetables, and 0% synthetic nutrients. Besides USDA beef and all-natural chicken, you'll find digestive aids like pumpkin, ginger, plus disease-fighting antioxidants. Dog parents report noticeable health improvements in their pups. We can attest to that. His energy is through the roof. He's a happy boy, especially when I'm pouring him a bowl of this stuff. It's softer fur, fresher breath, my favorite, better poops. Let's be real. What you feed your dog has an impact on how those walks go, and Sundays keeps it tight, as well as more energy. Brody flips for this stuff. We've tried in the past to get him like natural, shorter list ingredients dog food, but it always ended up overflowing out of our kitchen. It was shipped to us in cumbersome packages with dry ice and all this waste. Sundays is like having a box of cereal in your pantry. It's that simple. You take it out, it's air dried, you don't have to refrigerate it, you don't have to keep it cold. You just keep it in the pantry, pour it in the bowl, close it back up, just like a box of cereal. But it's high quality, makes them feel great, and from the looks of it, it tastes incredible. Unlike other fresh dog food Sundays, is zero prep, zero mess, zero stress, shelf stable, makes it easy to feed your pup top quality food, and every order ships right to your door, so you'll never worry about running out of dog food again, which frankly used to happen to us. I love having it on a recurring schedule, because one thing you can count on, your dog's gonna eat. So get a recurring schedule going. Sundays cost 40% less than other healthy dog food brands because Sundays doesn't waste money shipping frozen packages. Instead, they spend on what matters, sourcing the best all-natural ingredients for your pup. So we worked out a special deal for our dog-loving weirdos. Get 35% off your first order. That's almost half off. 35% off your first order of Sundays. Go to sundaysfordogs.com/weird or use code WEIRD at checkout. That's sundaysfordogs.com/weird. Get 35% off your first order. Show some love and support for your dog. Show some love and support for this show. Upgrade your pup to Sundays and feel good about the food you feed your dog. Let's get back to the episode. You'll also notice, one quick shout out, we're drinking NIRVANA water, nirvanawatersciences.com. If you want to try the water that we're drinking in every episode that supports lean muscle development, improves muscle performance and mobility, reduces muscle soreness, and boosts recovery time post-exercise, all because of their proprietary MyHMB clear formulation that's been studied for the past 3 decades by scientists, physicians, and leaders in the medical field. Go to nirvanawatersciences.com. Use promo code PETE20 for 20% off. 20%? All right, let's get back to Byron Bowers.
Okay, we're back.
Okay, yeah. So
It's interesting. I don't exactly know if I understand completely. I remember after 9/11.
I'm gonna tell you the crazy part.
Tell me.
It's a black person in the room too. That's what I'm learning.
What do you mean?
So every time it's usually when it's like an offensive ad or when Gucci come out with the shirt with big lips, it's probably a black person in the room that's like.
You mean when they come up with the product?
Yeah. Cause what I'm learning, cause I'm in some of the back rooms now, just because I say something don't mean it's for all black people. I'm a certain demographic
of
myself,
course you are.
uneducated, whatever. But then it's somebody who grandparents went to college. And they don't stand for none of the stuff I stand for. And we the same, race, you know what I mean?
Right.
They might be Dr. King fanatics, and I'm more like trap music.
Right.
So, and I'm from a city, to go back to what we said earlier, where it's mostly black. So you see the breakdown even within the culture.
Right. Well, it's absurd to think that anybody is the spokesperson. But what you're saying, so something questionable isn't being floated around. When there's one black person there, you see it at comedy shows too.
Yeah.
Oh, the black guy's laughing.
So
or
that
the
makes
little
it
person's
cool.
laughing, or the guy in the wheelchair is laughing. Like, we still have that pack mentality where we're like, well, there's a representative of all of them here.
You represent all of them today.
Right. But it goes for disabilities as well. Like, if I remember watching somebody doing a lot of wheelchair stuff, but there was a guy in a wheelchair laughing, everybody was just like, therefore this is fine.
But that's what I found funny. And when people like, oh, you edgy, because I'm like, you do got the black person at the wheelchair who get discriminated against. You know what I mean? And then they gotta, do that. So, or and in my mind, I play with that world. Like the person that's deaf, but then this person is street deaf. And I remember the first time I saw a gang person sign to another gang person, and I was like, it looked like sign language. But they was talking to each other across the street. Where you from? I'm from here. This is what said I claim. Da 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 da. But it looked like,
of course,
sign language. So, and I'm in Israel, Tel Aviv, and they doing sign language, and I'm like, hey, is this Hebrew? Like I'm asking the ignorant question, is this Hebrew? And they like, no, sign language is one language. And I'm like, how? That don't make sense to me. But I play with that because in my mind, it's still like some street vernacular in
sign language.
In sign language.
Well, there's got to be some overlap. It's like I remember I went to Venezuela when I was a kid. The word for in Yanomami, the Yanomami Indians, the word for no is ma. I'm like, of course, there's going to be, even though we share no ancestors, it's not an Indo-Germanic language, your word for no is going to be short. In the same way, in sign language, whether it's a street sign language or American Sign Language or whatever, there's certain words you're going to have to say a lot, and it's probably going to look something like this. No matter
I always
what.
wonder what the N-word version of that was. That's me. I did a joke about
in sign language? You got to spell it. There's no sign for that.
Well, I sat at this table. I was at an award show, and I sat at the table with the sign language people. So that's when I was the minority because they were like, you can't small talk.
What do you mean?
You can't be like, hey, what's going on? I'm at an award show at a round table.
Sure.
And they bow, and you just like, putting butter on your bread. And you like, this is all you like goofy. This is you can't even wave properly. You don't even take that in consideration. You know what I mean? Peas,
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh man. Like I'm the only black dude at the table and I don't know sign language. So that was my thought. I wonder what the word for N-word is at the table. Because, I would get glances and I'm like, does this mean N-word? Like when they do like this or whatever. So that's my paranoia. But I had fun with it also. Because I'm like, to them, I'd be like, who put this mother here? He ain't one of us. And I jumped in both heads, you know what I mean? If that makes sense.
I thought you were going to say you were on stage and you'd say it. If there was someone translating you would see.
Well, I was looking at somebody translate because it was about inclusion. It was an inclusion person giving a speech. So they had somebody signing that. And I remember they was like the straights and the gays. And they did this.
That means gay?
So that's what triggered my word. I wonder what the N-word is. Because I was like, can they still... And I tell the story.
You probably have to retire certain things.
But that's
if
what
that
I
means
thought.
Gay, you probably you have to update
This ain't that long ago. So I was like,
we're doing a limp wrist gesture, which by the way is what a lot of old men in Boston do for gay as well.
That's what we thought, but I was like, is that still the word? That's what made in the story I tell, that's what makes it like trigger that. Like I wonder what the N-word is, if this still means.
Yeah.
Because that always had meant. And I was like, did we take that from sign language or did they take that from us?
Yeah.
Because that's a church way of saying like,
right.
If you grew up in church or something, you'd be like, hey, he kind of like,
right.
You know what I mean?
What I'd like to know anthropologically, all of that, why a limp wrist? Like, what does it mean to have like a firm, upright, strong wrist and this is like a weak wrist? Is that what it is?
I guess it's so.
Like it's like effeminate.
Masculine.
And
yeah,
why is it effeminate? I know we're like, well, that's kind of effeminate to kind of like, if you're like kind of like dainty like that or whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
But why? Why is that a sign? Why is that what your body does when you are embodying a female, like a feminine presence or whatever it might be?
I guess because if you were observing during a certain time, I don't know when sign language was born. And if it was born in like the 80s or something, that's kind of late.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, what, like go back to like BC or something?
I don't know. I'd like to know, but I know in There Will Be Blood, his son goes deaf. It's 1898 and they teach him sign language.
Oh, okay. So all right.
So it's definitely been around for
But
a while.
I guess the point I'm making is, I guess from observation, they saw like a lot of gay people at that time.
Oh, interesting. I feel like
what they would consider.
Right, dandies. They'd be like,
Yeah.
look at this dandy on his big
Yeah.
wheel bicycle and
they
his
do
limp
this,
wrists.
and they like,
Yeah, got it. And then the straights would suddenly be like,
yeah, if people had to hold their fists like this.
like real
Yeah.
firm wrists all going around. What was it like having a dad with schizophrenia?
Man, at the time it was bad. Like when you're going through a bad trip, you don't know what's going on. It's different than the drug thing happened. It could have been worse if I would have known earlier. I mean, it could have been easy if I would have known earlier, but they just like, oh, you know how he is.
That he was ill.
Yeah. Or you know, it's nothing that was talked about, or the scientific stuff wasn't
Right.
talked about. It's a thing of like,
How did it manifest? How did you know your dad
the first time I experienced something was when we was walking in the house and he was like, man, yo, you know, this girl saying I did all type of stuff to her, and I heard you told the police I did something to her, but I didn't hit her. I just grabbed her like this, and he grabbed me by my shirt and like that. And he was like, it's all good. I don't blame you. You didn't know what was going on.
And none of this had happened.
I don't know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
But he was like, you could. He was like, they can come for me. I got something for him. And then he took the ceiling top, like the thing in the attic or whatever, and then he pulled out 2 Uzis.
Oh my God.
And then I was just like, all right, basically, and went and ate some Frosted Flakes. And I've told my grandfather.
Said, Granddad, put on some clothes. I got something to say.
No, it was like, put your dick away. But my grandfather was like, I don't think you should see your dad for a while. But we still didn't fully get explained what was going on.
Right. It would have been better if someone was like, your dad is ill. There's
Yeah.
some sickness happening.
And then the stories make sense because my dad was taking us shooting one time.
He was what?
Taking us shooting to shoot rifles. And my grandma was like, don't get in the car with him. Don't you get in there. And we was all like, man, why grandma tripping? We just going to shoot rifles, shoot cans. We want to go shoot. We've been in the house all day. But looking back, it's like, you know.
You were going shooting with an unstable person.
Yeah. And he got kicked out of the mall for pulling two Glocks out on some of his old coworkers who he thought was talking trash about him.
Something he had manufactured.
Guns
like it wasn't, not that it makes sense if it was happening, but it wasn't happening.
I don't know, because when you grow up with these stories, you think it's real.
He didn't know. He didn't know, but I don't know. So imagine if your pops is like, man, and it's so in line with what's going on in the world. A white lady said something to me, they done fired me at the job. These white boys, and like he was one black dude who lived in a white neighborhood when 2 people had to work to pay for what he could pay for on his own because he was good with money and stuff. And that came with its own stresses, you know what I mean, in the 80s. So especially in a town where you're doing better than everybody. Like it's stuff that naturally make you paranoid anyway. Right.
So it just put a blur on everything. Cause you like, was that real?
Yeah,
As a black man living in Los Feliz, you know what I mean? You go through the similar things.
What do you mean?
When security follow you around the neighborhood or
oh, really?
Yeah. you come home at night with somebody trailing you, or those things. So it's just natural. This is just natural hood stuff anyway. So it blurred the lines between that. Or he'd be like, oh, you can't trust women, they after your money.
Yeah, it was like an exaggeration. Like my therapist said, I always remember this. He goes, paranoid people are right. Like if you're paranoid, you're correct. Like if you think your heart might stop or I always think it's interesting that not to put darkness out in the world, but like when I'm at the airport, I'm never worried. You get on the plane and then you might worry that the plane might crash. But it's like, but if you're at an airport, you're where a plane would crash. You know what I mean? Like, but we don't really think about that. But a paranoid person does, and they're correct. Like there is a higher chance that something might happen while you're at the airport, but you tend to not worry.
No, I worry because the Atlanta airport shooting.
Well, that too, right? Shooting.
Yeah, and at any moment, I'm like, just like how your girl said, like this was the day. I could be driving down the street and like at any moment a bullet can hit me.
Right. Well, that's true.
It's true and it's environmental. I used to walk home from school like that.
Yeah. Right.
Like I'm trying to do the right thing, and at any moment, a random shootout can happen.
Right.
Somewhere far, and you in the woods, and a bullet can hit you.
Right.
So.
But to finish my therapist's point, he's like, that's true.
Yeah.
But you can't let it rule your life.
Well, it did for a while.
Right.
Rule my life.
Doesn't seem like it is anymore.
I want to step on cracks because I hurt my mama back. I was superstitious and religious growing up. So it was super focused. Yeah. So it definitely a lot of stuff like that.
What were your superstitions?
I mean, don't put hats on the bed. Don't put a purse on the floor. Don't put a woman purse on the floor because, it make her broke.
Is that a thing?
Yeah,
that's a superstition. I didn't know that one.
We broke. I never put your bag on the floor, and we still broke. We done been kicked out of our house. You know what I mean? All this stuff. But yeah, because you don't learn about financial literacy. You know what I mean?
You learn about don't put a purse on the floor.
Put your purse on the floor and learn to take a book out that motherfucker and learn how to save 10% of everything. But
so you were religious and
superstitious. Everything, because you so young, everything people believe, you tell you. If you put a hat on the bed, somebody will die.
That's it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like certain stuff like that. If you wash your clothes on the last Sunday of the month, somebody could die. It's like little stuff like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See, we're back at the bullet or the airport dangers or whatever. We're all doing our best to live in a world that is constantly changing. So those things give we do it in a fancy way too. You can look at data, like certain type of scientific data, and be like, this gives me comfort. I'm not saying science is superstition. I'm just saying no study is perfect.
Yeah.
How many times does a study come out and they're like, well, they weren't studying this factor, this factor, this factor. But fuck that. When it comes out, especially if it confirms our bias, we take a lot of comfort in it. I'm going to say that's just a different echelon of don't put a hat on a bed. It's just a way of feeling like you have control. Like your bit about paper straws. I want to feel like I have control. I know that 99% of plastic waste in the ocean is from commercial fishing, but I'm going to stop using straws because it gives me the illusion of contribution and then I can kind of like quiet down the voices. That's another hat on a bed.
And just like my cousin, they trying to give him 10 years over this little bag, over a pound of weed.
Yeah.
Knowing that the government gets the stuff in.
Yeah.
And the cartel, this is a $1 billion business. This ain't
right.
So it's the same with the straws to me. So that's the parallels of it. And as well as the homelessness, which my dad would wander the streets.
Yeah.
That's how all these things tie in, but it took to recently realize a lot of those people wandering the streets are mentally ill.
Right. Well, that's what we had in the 80s. You'd call a home. I didn't, but my dad didn't. But some people would call homeless people bums because that was a way of saying these are lazy people. These are non-productive people. Now it gets a lot more complicated when you go like these are mentally ill people, or it's would rather be ignorant and clear cut and go. Hey, we're back at racism or
whatever social economics because the thing of me touching the turtle.
Yeah, in your special.
Which is could be way more dangerous than touching a homeless person's hand. But just the same texture as touching a crackhead's hand. Which I found way more nasty than touching a sea turtle. Like I took chances on the sea turtle.
Right.
Versus like feeling a crackhead's hand, which is like, whew, you know what I mean?
What religion were you raised, did you say?
Baptist.
And where are you at now? We're in the last 20 minutes or so here. We always talk about the meaning of life. You seem like you have an interesting one. We're talking about waves. This is a worldview. This is a thought system. I'm curious what you make of reality, if you have a story that you tell about it, some sort of framework for it.
I believe nature law over man's law.
Nature over man's.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Like if a lion is hungry, it's gonna eat. Like if a man's that hungry, he would do something to his own brother. You know.
The idea that we're like 3 meals away from chaos.
But then, you know, if it rains, you live on a muddy hill, it's gonna slide. Don't care how much money you got or nothing.
Right.
We drive fancy cars through the canyons. If you mess up, you're going over.
Right.
It don't care your race.
Right.
Like nature just don't care about certain things.
Right.
And to me, that comes first. The man ability to kill. Like some people I never kill, but you don't know because you never been pushed there before.
Right.
So I always have that nature will supersede what is illegal or not.
Right.
You know.
There's a humility to that too.
Yeah.
It's a privilege to say, I would never do this, or this. Basically what you're saying is, I've never been pushed to do this, or this, or this.
Yeah, or it's not in me, but it's in
of course
in
it's
you.
in you, yeah. There's primal things happening.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. Like, and people will break man's law if it's natural, if it's something natural to them.
Right.
Pedophilia is all that.
Is breaking nature's law.
Yeah, no, this is my nature's law. It's illegal for me to do this. So but I cannot not do it. And I just use that one thing.
That's what you mean. That's what breaking it means.
Huh? That's what breaking man's law is.
Yeah.
Your nature or your natural thing takes over that.
So is murder.
Murder is a version of that, yeah.
Right.
And amongst other things, stealing to eat is a version
Stealing
of that.
it. Yeah, I mention all the time, but I read the book Tribe, and they talk about like the biggest law you could break was hoarding or stealing more than is your share, taking more food than is your share. And they're like, there's a spider. Tiny one. Look at you. Cool.
Yeah, because I don't know the type of spider it is.
Yeah,
I always have to see before I...
Yeah, that was cool though.
Yeah.
You looked more relaxed. You looked more relaxed.
Yeah.
That was...
It's like, you ever hear gunshots? That's when you don't panic.
Don't panic?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you got to know, you don't know, you got to figure out where it's coming from. There's a lot of things you got to figure out before you move or you're going to run in the direction of the thing.
Right.
So you know, outside of anger is learning how to tame the fear. But we do that.
That's so cool.
I do that with driving anyway, or
if
stage
you calm
fright.
Down, yeah. You feel this adrenaline and you cycle it back through so it's calm.
Well, the fear and stuff is you being present. That's why I say if I'm not nervous, I'm not. There's something wrong with me with not being nervous.
Yeah.
Whether I'm about to drive or whether like I see why people do these activities now, because it helps you tame your nerves, but you use your nerves because it makes you more alert.
That's right. People that still 20 plus years in stand up, they're like, "Do you get nervous?" And I'm like, I know it's not my line, but I go, I'm nervous when I'm not nervous. That's
the scary part.
If you're too calm,
you do crazy.
Byron, if I'm like feeling really funny, if I'm like backstage and I'm just being real funny, I'm like, that's the wrong energy. It has to be this like question.
Yeah.
Like, am I funny? Can I do this in the right way? And then you go out and there's a bout now. Now something's happening. Like you're special in a boxing ring. That's the feeling. You don't want to go out being like, I'm the king of the world, I'm the champion necessarily.
That's how I felt, but then so much went wrong. I said, what's up? The laugh mic fell out.
Really?
COVID killed 80% of my audience. So it's people there from my childhood who didn't even know I talked because they're not used to hearing me talk. So at the end, when I thought everybody was gonna be like, man, that was so dope, it was like, man, I'm proud of you.
Wait.
Yeah. Because of everything I went through, because they was like, I didn't even know he didn't talk when he was little, or, you know, it was guys that was like, he ain't funny, why are we going to this?
Wow. Well, that's your hometown thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it ended up being the people that needed, spiritually needed to be there.
Of course.
But it wasn't necessarily the people.
Speaking of spiritual, I love that people are putting their hands up. Because I've been to Black church and I was this is good. They were also giving you a wider vocabulary of responses. There was like, and and like people were, and you could hear all that. And I was like, this is really good. You did something very human, something real.
With sound, I was like, we got to get all of those responses.
You can tell. Yeah. Because you can smooth those out in post. Some people might take them out, but you had a very real special. It's admirable. It's really special.
Thank you, man.
So let me ask you this. Do you think when you die, it's over? You talk to your dad? You have a relationship after they're gone?
Now, here's the thing. And this problem on my social media suck. Life is my VR.
Yeah.
This is the journey. So me, my soul is here to do all type of things. So yeah, maybe just like you take off Oculus, you go back to doing stuff.
Like when you die.
Yeah. So to me, it's like, oh, okay, this thing is over. This was fun. It's like playing a video game. All right.
Yeah.
For better or for worse, We're here for a journey. I tell people, it's like when you play Mario and you miss the first jump, what happened?
You come back.
You come back, right?
Yeah.
That's the lesson. If you don't get the first jump, you ain't gonna get to the next thing.
Right.
So I learned that sometimes you see people that keep bumping their head on the same thing. When it's time, you get to leave this place, this world. But until then, you gotta learn to get over the jumps, or it's still another world you gotta go through.
Yeah, princess is in another castle.
Yeah, so I think it's something else, man. But I realized, having my dad die in my arms, which is such a spiritual thing, than having die as my dad, which is the worst thing I can experience.
What do you mean? He died in your arms, which was a spiritual thing.
He died in my arms. I felt him go through my body, and I was able to communicate with him.
His spirit.
Yeah,
Like you felt like
I felt it before the machines knew. Which is crazy. And then I had to tell everybody that he passed.
What did it feel like?
Man, it was like it's like a weird tingly, it's like a sharp tingle. And it started in my hands. Like, you know how your feet and stuff like go to sleep, but then it gets stronger and stronger, and then it just moved up my body in like a burning tingle. You know what I mean? And I'm there by his bedside, and I'm just like, it's still as that hiss right now. Because you can't tell nobody because you've been experiencing this thing and you know what it is, and it's a heat. It's a heat that goes up, and then it's just gone.
And it like trailed out.
Yeah, but I wasn't angry. It was very peaceful. It was one of the most peaceful, outside of being on shrooms, it was one of the most peaceful stillness.
How was his energy? Well, his energy went through you. Was his?
Well, he came out of a coma when I was there. He coded 5 times. And it's crazy because I was doing press for this movie I was in at TIFF at Toronto Film Festival. And I landed and my cousin called and was like, hey, he coded 5 times. And they not gonna bring him back. And I asked my girl, what that mean? They like, his heart stopped. So we came back to Los Feliz, ate, went back to the airport, went to Georgia, drove 3 hours in the night and got there like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And when I got there, he was asleep, and then he saw me and his eyes open. Then he started moving towards me. And I was like, I don't know if he thought, if he wanted to give me a hug or he wanted to choke me. So that stuff is still there, right?
Your normal
like
thing.
He thought I was there to kill him. Like that was the paranoia part.
Yeah.
And I remember he couldn't talk because he had tubes breathing, but I remember looking into his soul and telling him, no need to apologize for nothing. You were great. You was battling something that was out of your hands, and I'm gonna take what you've done as far as I can take it. I'm gonna take the flag and I'm gonna plant it somewhere as far as I can for the next, for the next person. And when he did pass, I realized, how you at a theme park and there's a person in front of you and this single person in front of you on a roller coaster, and he gets on, whoosh, and I'm like, I'm looking and there's nobody behind me, and I'm next because I have no kids, and I was like, oh shit, And that's like one of the realest feelings ever, you know what I mean?
That you're next to die.
That I'm the last Bowers, and I'm next. Because my grandfather happened the same way. I was the last person my grandfather saw. Because I'm the third. So I'm the remaining of the bloodline too. So my grandfather came out of coma at 96, and my mother told me to tell him bye, and this was all new to me. And he died. When I left, he died. But he came out of his coma to see me.
Wow.
And she was like, tell him you love him and everything. So it was an experience. I experienced that twice. So
must feel good to feel you're worth leaving a coma.
Well, that and be able to have this experience and bring this closure that a lot of people don't have, right? So we shooting this open and we on shrooms. Like we get a call, somebody died, and it's bad. It's bad, right? And we still taking them. And we filming, and then that night, a snowstorm happened in the middle of the desert. And I'm hugging my girl, we crying, and I'm like, it's a storm coming. It's 2021 or something like that. It's a storm coming. I don't know what it is, but it's coming. And you can see the haze coming all the way, and the snow is packed. And I remember like saying like, Earth is dying. Like everybody's asleep now. I'm like, Earth is dying. I'm dying. You need help. Ask for help. You can't go through this alone. All these things, like my health will never be the same. And like the trip is getting bad. And I had my first anxiety attack because I'm breathing and I'm like, I can't control my breath. And I'm like breathing like my dad on the breathing machine. Because when he died, it was just, his body was just limp and it was like that. And I'm trying to get in rhythm with this breathing machine. And I look up and I'm like, my girl like, you okay? She's asleep. I'm like, I'm dying. I'm dying. And I look and I see death in like a black hoodie and with white behind him. And I look into it and it's me looking at my dad because I wore a black hoodie with the hood up. And to me, the worst way to die is in a hospital bed, to me. But I'm going through that death. And the loss I experienced was another one of the worst things to experience in me. So in that trip, I experienced two of my worst fears. And I went through this whole thing and I let go, which you have to do in life, right? And everything went still and quiet. And I look and my cousin is asleep, who I love. My girl is right here, peacefully asleep. The dog is here, peacefully asleep. My girl, best friend upstairs, so it was all family. And I grabbed my phone and I wrote, I died and woke up rich. I'm in the desert, there's a fire going, there's glass everywhere, there's a beautiful view of the snow. And because your loved ones are there, that's like the wealthiest thing to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the part of opening you didn't see.
Yeah.
You didn't see.
From your special.
Because we did shrooms for real.
Yeah. I was gonna ask. That's crazy. So with your dad passing through you, that seems to lend itself to spirit, life continuing, us being souls, not bodies, all that.
Yeah, I made love to my lady one time. We was in London, and I remember going to the bathroom, and I was peeing, and I was like, man, my dad would be proud of me, because he had a lot of women from that. And I was thinking about him, and the French doors opened. And I was like, come on, man. Because you don't want to ever get them thoughts. To me, that's like every black person in a horror movie, like, not trying to be scared, but he's starting to get scared. He's like, man, come on, man. Y'all tripping, man. You know? And I went and climbed in bed. But I remember my grandfather told me he was mad. One time my dad walked in on him, my grandmother, while he was trying to have sex. And he just looked over and was like, what y'all doing? So when the doors opened, like all that stuff came back to me, and I was like,
what have you heard that? What y'all doing?
Yeah, like, come on, man. And I got in the bed, and I remember putting the cover up on my head.
Have you ever almost died?
Yeah, like 8, 9 times, yeah.
Really?
I drowned once.
You drowned?
I drowned. I was playing by the pool. I had to be like, I think probably 4 years old. And I drowned, and I saw you know how the pool looks, that beautiful blue and that little light was like the last thing I saw. And I woke up and somebody had me in their hands, and they was giving me to my mom.
Wow.
That's one time I fell off a swing, a rusty swing set, and landed on my neck, and it was stuck, and I couldn't breathe. And I was like trying to get help, but I couldn't, explain. And then somehow it popped back.
Oh my God.
Various stuff like that, car accidents.
Yikes.
Yeah, and I'm nervous because it's at least about 8 times.
Yeah. Most people just are like no, or they have one.
Nah, this is like, and I'm like, I don't know how many more of these I have either. To come out unscathed. Oh. But you get bullet time. There's been times I've been in a car and like one time a truck semi was merging and I was in a little Ford Focus and it didn't see me and it got dark. It started to blind all the light and it got dark and I just let go. It was over. Like I'm in the car by myself. And I tried to like punch it, and it didn't have enough power, and I just let go, and the truck just merged, and the car somehow slowed down enough to where I was just like, it just came, and I was just hollered, and I just downshifted, and then got over.
Whoa, bullet time.
But that wasn't bullet time. Another time I was in my sister's car, and something happened with a car swerved like this, and then I threw it in neutral, and then just got over. And I never respected her little Jetta until then, and I was like, this is a solid car.
Volkswagen.
Yeah.
Car of the people.
Yeah, car of the people.
Hey, by the way, to finish that point, before Hitler's addresses, they would play those unholy frequencies that are really unpleasant. And then when he started to speak, beneath the speech, they'd play pleasing tones. You know what I'm saying? So you turn it on. He's like, he's going to talk at 11. You turn on at 10:55 and it'd be like, then it'd come on and be like, and underneath it'd be like, oh.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That's brilliant.
Right? Sometimes I worry. You know how they're like, we're going to give the whole world free internet? I'm like, it's a radio, man.
Yeah.
It's a free radio.
But that's the thing with those scientists back then, for better or for worse, man. They really knocked some stuff out.
They got what they got.
They knocked some stuff out between tinkering with people and the weird serums and the weapons and the cars and the radio and all these new discoveries that they were doing at the time. For better or for worse, that's kind of what happens when you deal with, I had my first bad trip I experienced what it's like to lose love at such a massive scale that I wanted power.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
To not feel needed, feel heartbreak. There's so much I wanted power to where people would need me, whether they love me or not.
That's right.
And
that's a big epiphany.
Feeling that for mankind because all my trips go all the way back to the beginning. So feeling that all the history of that so big throughout mankind's existence for 7 hours, to where I ended up in the tub in fetal position. Because I wanted be in my mother's womb.
Yeah. I've done that in a hot tub. And I was like, it was really weird. It was cool though. And
my girl came in and hugged me and I remember looking at her, what broke that was me looking in her eyes and seeing nature in the pasture. And I was like, this is what love is. And it's such a peaceful thing. And I'll never forget that because that's what calms me down sometimes when I'm angry.
That's beautiful. You got a lot of wisdom, man. I love this. I'm loving this chat. I wish we weren't a little short on time. I'm going to ask you the last question. I feel like I could talk to you for another 2 hours. That's just to compliment you. Can you tell me, just because we've gone death everywhere and meaning and all that, here's a light question. Can you tell me a time in your life you laughed so hard you cried, something stupid happened, someone fell down, maybe someone farted?
It's still dark.
Hit me.
I was hustling when I was 18. I stopped hustling.
You were dealing drugs?
Yeah. And I was at a low. And I wanted to kill myself. And I was going through all the ways I wanted to kill myself. But I couldn't afford some of the ways to kill myself, which made me even more sad. And at that
is
moment,
very dark. Yes.
I found my sense of humor.
Whoa.
Because to me, me and God was talking to God. I was like, do it. Jump out the window. That's free. But he was like, oh, you on the first floor. So you ain't gonna die. You gonna be in a wheelchair at the club fucked up explaining to people why you jumped out of the window.
Oh my God.
So all
God
those
roasted you.
Yeah, we just, you know, so this is me and God's not only communication, but our relationship. You know, so it was laughing. You know,
Jump out the window.
Yeah, do it.
Oh, sorry. You're not in a penthouse building. That's not going to do anything.
Yeah, you're going to be at the club in the wheelchair telling people, drinking. Somebody got to put a straw with the Coors Light with a straw, you know? So, I mean, it was just so funny. And I was like, I couldn't hang myself. You can't hang yourself because you're black. That's a no automatically.
Oh my God, is that a thing? I'm not trying to be funny.
I don't know, but these are the thoughts. I don't know if it's a thing or not, but you definitely, it's just a not, So.
I mean, I immediately understood. I was like,
yeah. So, he's like, you already cut yourself, use the butter knife with that. So
you can't afford a nice knife.
Yeah.
This is a dark bit.
But it's not, it's just where I found everything. I think that's why my conversation and my jokes always go to these real weird, dark places, or why I do dramas versus I don't do comedies as much.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like I could find funny in this thing.
Yeah.
So
that's really interesting, man. Well, I want you to keep doing it because it's really working. And I haven't seen a special that is like yours. You know what I mean?
You.
There's like...
It shouldn't have been a special. It should have been like a short film or something. Cause it's,
interesting.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Because I had to promote it that way. They was like, at first they're like, you should go do a set on Colbert. I'm like, you can't do a set about this and talk about it in a way like how we having conversations and patterns and stuff like that. So... I'm realizing, like, it could have been this other
film,
like a short indie film.
Well, maybe next time, because you got a lot left. I love it. Yeah. It's really interesting.
Thank you, man.
Sorry to wrap up, but incredible. I'm glad we're trying for years to make this happen.
Well, this is just time now.
Yeah,
we're at a time in our lives where we had this conversation. It wouldn't have been this.
That's right. That's true.
And you did my first. Hey, he did my first TV appearance was on your show.
That's right.
And I crushed. It's probably my best TV performance.
Yeah.
Look that up too, the Pete Holmes show.
Yeah.
My best performance.
No, that's real. I remember. JP Buck, man.
Shout out to JP Buck.
JP Buck. And obviously I was like, absolutely, but JP deserves the credit for that.
Yeah.
But I was happy to have you. And he gave me that break too. JP got me that show.
Shout out to
JP. All right, man. Thank you so much. This was awesome. People are going to love it. Check out the special. I can't say the title. You say it.
Spiritual nigga. You would say spiritual N-word.
Spiritual N-word.
Daniel Van Kirk was like N-word. Think of N-word.
Spiritual N-word. That seems like if we were on drugs, we would have thought that was incredible.
That's incredible to me.
Wait. N-word.
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 So when I redo the truck, I'm definitely throwing that on there.
That's great.
But we'll know what it is, but nobody else will know.
That's right. And we ended on the truck. We began on the truck. This was its own sine wave. This was a pattern.
And that's how it should be. Remember that.
Would you say keep it crispy? It's how we close. You say
keep it crispy. Hey, I don't care what you do out there or how you like it. This is the most important thing you could do in life. Keep it crispy.
You made it weird. You made it weird.